I want to thank y'all for being here.
Should we applause? Hey, Lauren.
You're great.
I know you've been here 25 times.
I'm afraid we'll know by tomorrow. Really, we'll know by tomorrow if we see really how much milk we make. You got that little heat in on it. About 18 degrees.
You got some early ones too, don't you?
Looking
Early
good.
May stuff happened there.
We didn't run water because when it got time to crank up, most people in South Carolina got time to crank up. The dew point was 9 degrees. So we're going to crank up to 40 degrees. The wind was blowing 18 degrees.
You're honored to be here.
I'm down in I was doing some recon. They had called me. I went last.
Do I? They just emailed me. They called me.
Hey, I've been waiting 5 years. I know you have. Hey, good to see
Hey,
y'all.
good to see you.
Hi, how you doing? Good to see you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Let me first of all just thank you guys for being here today. Proud to be joined by Georgia's First Lady Marty Kemp, our Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan, Speaker David Ralston, Chairman Blake Tillery, Chairman Terry England, many members of the Broadband Infrastructure Committee, which includes a number of state agency leaders, state legislators, and other stakeholders, and our guests today from Altamaha and Ellijay, Romanius Dotson, and Frankie Rigdon. Georgia is once again leading the nation in developing collaborative, innovative, and fiscally conservative ways to leverage government funding to positively impact and serve as many Georgians as possible. Today we're announcing $408 million in preliminary awards which will provide communities, households, and businesses in 70 Georgia counties access to faster and more reliable broadband. In total, these 49 projects represent an investment of more than $738 million in Georgia when matching funds are contributed. Before I go into the awards, I want to provide a brief overview of the work that went into reviewing these applications. On June 29, 2021, I announced the members of the Georgia Jobs and Infrastructure Committees. I tasked the bipartisan committees with reviewing applications and making recommendations to my office regarding federal coronavirus relief funds allocated to Georgia through the American Rescue Plan. State government entities, units of local government, industries, and nonprofits were eligible to apply. Specifically, the Broadband Infrastructure Committee was responsible for making necessary investment recommendations to provide underserved locations with faster, more reliable broadband. Thanks to the dedicated members on the Broadband Infrastructure Committee, as well as the grants team at the Office of Planning and Budget and the Broadband and Special Projects team at the Georgia Technology Authority, the projects chosen reflect the greatest needs and interests of hardworking Georgians. When reviewing the applications, the committee was able to utilize several resources, including assets housed within our university system. Over 231 years ago, Georgia leaders had the foresight to establish the University of Georgia as the first public land-grant university. The mission was to create the leaders and innovators of tomorrow. Today, the University of Georgia continues to deliver on this mission. We were able to move quickly on these awards in large part because of the vast amount of data from the Georgia Broadband Availability Map. It is nationally regarded as one of the best, if not the best, broadband map in the country. This is thanks to the state partnership with the Carl Vinson Institute of Government at the University of Georgia, specifically Eric McCrae and David Hokeland. And although they couldn't be with us today, I certainly want to thank their team for their great work on this project. Based on the data from the Georgia Broadband Availability Map, more than 482,000 locations in Georgia are currently underserved as of July 2021. The projects targeted with these awards could serve more than 183,000 locations, representing both homes and businesses with faster and more reliable broadband. 132,050 of these locations are currently underserved based on state data. In addition to this historic investment in broadband expansion in Georgia, the Federal Trade Commission's Rural Digital Opportunity Fund program has awarded $326 million in funding that will also bring service to almost 180,000 underserved locations over the next several years. Due to the proximity and connection to the Broadband Infrastructure Committee awards, many of those project timelines are expected to accelerate. In Georgia, we are getting very close to closing the gap entirely between the served and the underserved. Due to time, I'm unable to go through the full list of awards, but our team will be passing out a breakdown as well as the copy of the map that I have referenced here today. You will see that we truly work to leverage these funds to reach as many Georgians as possible in all corners of the Peach State. After all, I ran on a promise to bring opportunity to rural Georgians in our state, and many of the other elected leaders here today did the same. And we are continuing to turn those promises into reality. Again, I appreciate everyone who helped us through the application process. I cannot thank the members of the General Assembly that graded many hundreds of applications, many hours of hard work, along with our folks at GTA, other state leaders, Department of Community Affairs, and people that really, well over a year ago, worked on the broadband map that helped us get us where we are today. So I appreciate all of those behind me and those that aren't here with us for their just incredible hard work to get to this point today. This is an exciting day in our state, certainly an exciting day in rural Georgia, and I'm now proud to introduce a champion for rural Georgia, Speaker David Rawson.
Well, thank you very much, Governor Kemp. I appreciate the invitation to be here to join you and so many distinguished leaders and guests for this exciting announcement. When we formed the House of Representatives Rural Development Council in 2017, this is the kind of day we dreamed about. We knew that expanding access to broadband internet was key to the ability of our rural areas to grow jobs. It is critical to so many daily tasks, be it healthcare, education, or commerce. In the intervening 5 years, our Rural Development Council has worked with the Department of Community Affairs and the Carl Vinson Institute at University of Georgia to determine the most pressing needs and explore how best to expand broadband access. Today, along with our private sector partners, we take another big step toward connecting every home and business in this state to reliable, high-speed internet. I want to thank the members of the council who have served over this period of time, particularly the leadership of the council, beginning with the original two chairs, Chairman Terry England and the late Jay Powell. Jay Powell was truly a champion for rural broadband, and this was a day of which he would have been very, very proud.
That's right.
I want to thank the members and then Chairman Sam Watson and Chairman Rick Jaspers, who currently serve as co-chairs. I want to thank the members of the House who served on the Broadband Infrastructure Committee, Chairman Terry England, Chairman Clay Perkle, Floor Leader Jody Lott, and Representative Patty Bentley. I want to thank them and the other members of the committee, as well as Governor Kemp, for making tough decisions on how to get the greatest return for these strategic investments. And now I'd like to turn the microphone over to another champion for our state and one who continues to work to make our state a leader in technology and e-commerce, my friend, Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan.
Thank you, Speaker Ralston. And Governor Kemp, I want to take a moment to thank you for your leadership through some of the toughest, most unprecedented times in our state's history as we continue to navigate through those difficult times. Broadband has become a non-negotiable item for virtually every single Georgian. All 11 million Georgians now have a broadband as a necessity, whether they're trying to run their business, whether they're trying to receive their health care, whether they're trying to receive their extension of their educational process. And this has been a top priority, not only since Governor Kemp and I were sworn in 3 years ago, but going back to my time in the House of Representatives with Speaker Ralston's leadership, this has been a continued priority of this building, is to look for ways to drive access to broadband to all 159 counties. My big economic mantra has been for Georgia to become the technology capital of the East Coast. And to do that, it takes a number of steps, both how we educate in our K through 12 system, how we build out our tech schools, how we integrate with our private sector partners, and certainly broadband and access to broadband is a key element of all of that if we're going to truly become the technology capital of the East Coast. It's important to understand technology capital of the East Coast is not just an Atlanta story, it's a Georgia story. And I believe technology is the greatest lifeline to rural Georgia that we've got to extend at this point as we continue to look for a 21st century solution to grow the economy all across our great state. Certainly proud of the work of our Broadband Infrastructure Committee, all of the time and effort they've put into looking at all the different proposals that have come in front of them. And I stand here today knowing that the last 2 years have been tough for every single community in our great state, and it's announcements like this that allow us to see into the future, even through the lingering effects of a global pandemic. It's now a great honor for me to bring forward a great friend of mine as we got to serve together in the House of Representatives, the Appropriations Chairman of the House, Terry England.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you. And just want to first thank the governor for setting up the committees to allow us to do what we have done over the last many weeks. Chairman Tiller and I were talking about it just a minute ago. It made our special session in November seem a lot shorter because he and I were going either to our offices or back to the hotel every night to score applications as we were working on broadband, water and sewer, and negative economic impact. But Speaker talked just a little bit ago about Chairman Jay Powell and his commitment years ago as we started our work on the House Rural Development Council. And Jay had a passion for rural internet, rural broadband, as do myself. Jay carried that banner for us many ways, many times in the House. But also Senator Gooch was right there with us as we were working through a lot of the things that we were trying to lay out, including the broadband map that showed us where exactly folks were that were not being served in the means and manner that they need to be served. You know, broadband has truly turned into another piece of infrastructure. Just as important as roads and bridges, water, sewer, and electrification were 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, broadband is that important today because that is truly what connects every student, every business, every person in our state to the rest of the world. And so I'm thankful today for the impact that these grants will make and what it will mean to the state of Georgia and what it will mean to our almost 11 million citizens going forward. So with that said, I now want to bring up to the podium my counterpart in the Senate, a young fellow that I have thoroughly enjoyed working with over the last couple of years, Chairman Blake Tillery, the chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee. And so, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman England. I want to say this first. You couldn't have a better person to serve as the House Appropriations Chairman than Chairman Terry England. He's been a prince of a person to learn from as we walk through the appropriations process for the entire state. And the House is blessed to have him here, and I know the district in Northeast Georgia is blessed as well. Governor Kemp, thank you so much for your investment in rural Georgia through this process and allowing us to be involved in it. The legislature was involved from the beginning, and we really appreciate the administration for allowing us to be so involved. I also want to thank the members of this committee who put in tons of time to painstakingly dive into the detail of each application to make sure that it met the criteria that were set out in federal rules. I also want to personally thank the senators, Senator Bo Hatchett from Cornelia, Senator Steve Gooch from Dahlonega, Senator Russ Goodman from Valdosta, he'll tell you it's Cogdale, and also Senator Michael Dugan, our majority leader from Carrollton. Appreciate their help in this, but we could have done none of this had one of the people up here who hasn't been mentioned yet didn't answer our calls, and it was Jen Wade. Jen, thank you so much for the effort you put into this, and we know that this is a big day for you as well. So congratulations. These are grants, and we think grant means gift, but these are definitely not gifts. The applicants that won these awards today put in painstaking time to make sure they were not overlapping other areas, overlapping RDOF areas. If you don't know what that means, do a Google search. I had to do it too. But that was extremely important as you tried to follow these federal guidelines. So please don't leave here thinking that these were gifts or giveaways. These applicants earned these awards. These communities earned these awards. Their matching dollars that they took from their ARPA funds earned these awards, and we're really, really proud to be a part of helping them celebrate here today. Thank you so very much, and it's my pleasure to welcome up one of those applicants, Romanus Dodson, the Executive Director and Manager of Altima Hall EMC.
Again, I reiterate what everyone else has said. Thank you, Governor, for your support, and we pray for your continued support. On behalf of Altima Hall EMC and its members, thank you, Senator Tillery, for your support and your guidance and just receiving this. This is a culmination of 2 years, at least 2 years of effort and developing the process where we could fill this application. To begin with, it was the Reconnect grant, and then it was RDOF. Again, this is a culmination of that effort that allowed us to have that application process ready. These dollars will help us to leverage to fill in those holes where other funding would not be available. I would be remiss would not recognize what our directors, two of our directors are here, Brandon Brady, which is the manager of Montgomery County, and his commissioners are here, Leland Adams and Chad Kennedy and Ginger Morris. Thank you all very much for your support in that. The person that filled out this application and made sure that this application met all the standards that was applicable, Phil Proctor, our engineer, he's walked through us each step of this funding process and now guiding us through the construction of the installation of the broadband into the homes. We thank you for helping us to make our community equal and equitable with the other communities that have this access. Our community needs it for education for our children, work for their parents, and again for the fun, to be able to enjoy the access to the rest of the world. We realize that it took a lot of effort in the state legislators and the rest of the state. Thank you. And I think I hand it off to Frankie Rigdon, LJ Telephone. Thank you.
My name is Frankie Rigdon. I'm Vice President of Operations for ETC, also known as LJ Telephone Company. On behalf of ETC's Chief Operating Officer, Jason Smith, I extend his apologies for not being here today to be able to attend. He had a previously scheduled out-of-state training event. Today, rural Georgians win. Rural communities in North Georgia with names such as Bucktown, Tickenetly, Scrougetown, Shake Rag, Devil's Den, Talking Rock, Yellow Creek, Ludville, and Jerusalem will soon have access to high-speed fiber optic broadband internet that they didn't have before this grant was made available. School children who were forced to stay home and utilize online learning due to COVID protocols, but who didn't have access to high-speed broadband internet, will now have the same opportunities to learn from home utilizing high-speed broadband internet as many of their classmates enjoyed. Rural Georgians who were forced to work from home due to their workplace COVID protocols, but who didn't have access to high-speed broadband internet, will now have the opportunity to successfully work from home and continue to earn a paycheck for their families. Rural Georgians who have difficulty getting to and from their health care providers will now be able to utilize online health care opportunities which they previously did not have access to due to substandard internet access. A doctor's appointment which required a long drive into the city can now be had from the comfort of one's own home. Access to one's health care provider from home utilizing high-speed broadband internet will allow rural Georgians to make and keep doctor's appointments, and no doubt will result in healthier Georgians. Broadband high-speed internet service providers such as ETC have spent millions of dollars to provide exceptional service to their customers, but we are now down to the most rural and most expensive areas to serve. This grant, along with matching funds from ETC, will now fund the engineering, construction, and installation of a high-speed fiber optic network to serve these previously unserved areas with broadband internet. In October of 2020, ETC and Amicalola EMC announced a partnership to extend a high-speed fiber optic network into 5 counties in rural North Georgia. This fiber optic network was designed to connect critical Amicalola EMC infrastructure to a modern-day monitoring and switching system, which will allow Amicalola to better serve their customers across their entire network. A collateral benefit of building this high-speed fiber optic network has already and will continue to allow ETC to serve new customers with broadband internet who did not have access to broadband before this partnership was formed. It is this partnership and this new network that paved the way for ETC to apply for funds from this state fiscal recovery grant to further extend lines off of this network to serve even more of unserved rural North Georgians with high-speed fiber optic broadband internet. It took a lot of work and a lot of input from many people to make our grant request submission. ETC received personal input and or letters of support from stakeholders and supporters, which includes the Gilmer-Pickens Joint Development Authority, Georgia Mountains Health, Amicalola EMC, the Georgia Telephone Association of Executive Director Rhonda Chatham, Jessica Simmons of the Georgia Technology Authority, Pickens County Board of Commissioners, Gilmer County Board of Commissioners, Pickens County Board of Education, Gilmer County Board of Education, Pickens and Gilmer's Chamber of Commerce, Piedmont Mountainside Hospital, Georgia House Representative Rick Jaspers, Senator Steve Cooch, and Georgia Speaker of the House of Representatives David Ralston. ETC is a better company with the support of these individuals, organizations, and businesses. And on behalf of ETC's Chief Operating Officer Jason Smith, we wish to publicly thank them all for their support. ETC wants to also thank the Broadband Infrastructure Committee for their hard work and dedication on this grant. Many Georgians will benefit from your hard work. ETC would also like to thank Ms. Jen Wade from the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget for answering all of our questions throughout this project. And finally, ETC would like to thank Governor Brian Kemp, whose office made the State Fiscal Fund recovery available. Governor Kemp's concern for and support of rural Georgians is clearly evident. The results of this grant will improve the lives of rural Georgians for this generation and beyond. Thank you, Governor Kemp. Now the work begins. ETC's employees, who have always demonstrated a commitment to our customers, will once again embark on this new project to provide high-speed fiber optic broadband internet to our current and future customers. We can't wait to get started. Back to you, Governor.
Well, Frankie, let me thank you and Romanius for being with us today, and really thank all the other private sector partners that have been involved in this. You know, when Speaker Ralston and Chairman England represented the late, great Jay Powell, it reminded me of just how much work has been done in just a few short years to get to where we are today, which today I think will be a truly historic day in our state, much like Chairman England mentioned with rural electrification. But if anybody knows or knew Jay Powell, he was a tough guy. And he didn't always agree with what Senator Gooch was doing in the Senate. So it was great collaboration between the Speaker and the Lieutenant Governor and myself and Steve and a lot of other folks, and certainly Jay Powell, everyone fighting for their position, but also giving to get us where we could get to today. And it doesn't go unnoticed on me that this happened just a very short time ago, just a little less than 3 years, and all the work that the legislators have done supporting rural Georgia, what our team's been doing to support rural Georgia, what this team did behind me, and the hours and hours and hours they spent going through this. It is remarkable where we are. And I believe that our state will be better for it in the decades to come. And that is going to make for great opportunity for hardworking Georgians, no matter what their zip code is, but especially in rural Georgia. So thank you all very much for being with us. Thank you to the members of the General Assembly and the leadership that's here today for your tenacity and your resiliency when it comes to supporting rural Georgia and getting us to where we can put these folks to work and start bringing this high-speed internet and broadband to our hardworking people. Thank you all for joining us. We'll have all the speakers and our guests come up. We're going to move the podium and get a few photos before we conclude. But thank you very much.